My name is Marcus Kine. I stood on the broken bridge of the human warship. Retribution, surrounded by the quiet sound of dying machines. Red emergency. Lights flashed slowly across the walls. Smoke filled the air and the taste of metal sat heavy on my tongue. The ship had fought hard, but now it was almost finished. Most of my crew were gone. Only a few brave Marines still breathed. Beside me, their armor cracked in their faces pale. Through the cracked viewing window, I could see the enemy. Zivac's high fleet stretched across the darkness like a living storm. Thousands of sleek black ships moved together as one. Their fighters swarmed like angry insects. They had come to wipe out every human life in this sector, and they were winning. We had been ordered to hold the line at Epsilon Verge. We were supposed to give the rest of humanity time to escape, but time was running out. My hands were covered in dust and dried blood. My rifle felt heavy, yet it still felt like a part of me. Captain Kane, a young Marine named Ray, said, his voice shaking only a little, "They are boarding us again. Lower decks are lost. What do we do?" I looked at him and the others. Their eyes waited for hope. Even now they believed I could find a way. I had always been the one who refused to give up. Maybe that was why they called me the human warrior in the old stories. The soldiers told each other at night, "Hold this grudge as long as you can." I said calmly, "I am going to wake up something we were never meant to use." They nodded without asking questions. Good men, brave men. I moved quickly through the narrow corridors. Alarms screamed around me. The ship shook as enemy weapons hit the hull again and again. I reached the sealed door at the heart of the ship, the place marked with old warnings, authorized personnel only. Danger. I pressed my hand on the scanner. The heavy door slid open with a tired groan. Inside the small room, a single black console waited. It looked old, much older than the rest of the ship. Dust covered the surface. A faint green light glowed in the center. This was the echo of old Earth, a weapon system from humanity's forgotten past. We had found it buried deep in the ruins of our home world years ago. No one fully understood how it worked. The scientists had warned us never to use it unless there was no other choice. Today, there was no other choice. I sat down and typed in the activation code I had memorized long ago. The console came to life. Words appeared on the screen in old Earth letters. Final protocol. Echo of old Earth. Warning, irreversible. My fingers paused for only a second. Then I pressed confirm. A deep hum filled the room. The ship's remaining power began to flow into the ancient device. I did not know exactly what would happen. Some stories said it could send a signal across the stars that even the strongest enemies would fear. Others said it woke up something inside every human who carried the right blood. I stood up and walked back toward the bridge. The Marines were still fighting. Gunfire echoed through the halls. I picked up my rifle and joined them. Zalvek boarding party broke through the last barricade. They were tall creatures with hard black shells and sharp claws. Their many eyes glowed with cold light. They moved fast, clicking and hissing as they came. We opened fire. Bright flashes lit the bridge. 2 Marines fell, but the rest of us kept shooting. I aimed carefully and dropped one attacker after another. My heart beat steady and strong. This was not the first time I had faced death. It would not be the last. Then something changed. One of the Zivac warriors stopped moving. It stood still in the middle of the fight, its claws raised but not striking. The clicking sound from its mouth grew louder, then turned into something different, a sound almost like fear. I lowered my rifle slightly and spoke into the open communication channel. My voice carried across every frequency the aliens could hear, translated into their own strain. Language. My name is Marcus Kane, I said clearly. Tell your queen my name is Marcus Kane. For a moment, everything became quiet. The shooting slowed. The Zivac soldiers looked at each other. Then one of them made a high, sharp sound, not anger but surprise and sudden worry. Another warrior stepped back. Its claws trembled over the enemy communication line. I heard a Zivac officer speak. His voice sounded unsteady. He said, Kane, the Kane. The word spread fast among them. What had been a confident attack turned into hesitation. Some of the creatures lowered their weapons. Others moved away from me as if I carried a dangerous disease. I felt a strange new energy rise inside my chest. These monsters who had destroyed so many human worlds were suddenly afraid of a name. My name. Rays looked at me with wide eyes. Captain, what did you do? I reminded them of an old story. I answered with a small smile, a story they thought was only a myth. The ship shook again as more enemy fighters attacked from outside, but the boarding party no longer pushed forward with the same strength. They were listening to orders from higher up, orders that sounded confused and worried. A new voice came over the open channel. This one was deeper, colder, and full of authority. It belonged to a high-ranking Zivac commander. Human called Kane. It said, you will not be killed. The Queen has commanded that you be taken alive. Stand down or we will destroy the rest of your crew. I looked at my remaining Marines. They were tired and hurt, but they stood ready to fight to the end if I asked them to. I lowered my rifle and placed it on the floor. Take me, I said, but leave my men alive. They have done enough. The Zivacs moved in carefully, as if they still feared me. They did not touch me roughly. Instead, they placed strong metal cuffs on my wrists and led me away from the bridge. As we walked through the damaged ship, I saw their soldiers watching me with careful, nervous eyes. They took me to a small shuttle. Through the window, I watched the Retribution grow smaller as we flew toward the largest ship in the Hive fleet, a massive vessel that looked like a living creature made of dark bone and shining metal. It was bigger than any human city. During the short flight, one of the Zivac guards spoke quietly to another. I caught the words, even though they tried to hide them. The Queen will want to see him herself. She must know if the old stories are true. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes for a moment. My body ached, but my mind felt clear and strong. They thought they had captured a prisoner. They did not know they had invited a legend into their home. As the shuttle entered the giant flagship, I whispered softly to myself, so quietly that only I could hear, let the Queen hear my name. Let her remember why humans are not easily forgotten. The doors opened, cold air rushed in. Tall Zivac soldiers waited to escort me deeper into the heart of the enemy fleet. I stepped forward without fear. The giant doors of the Zivac flagship opened with a deep living sound. I stepped inside, my hands still bound in strong metal cuffs. The air felt thick and warm, carrying a strange sweet smell that made my head feel light. Tall guards with hard black Shells walked on both sides of me, there. Many eyes watched me closely, but they did not push or hurry me. They moved as if they were afraid to touch me too much. We walked down long curved halls that looked like the inside of a huge living creature. The walls pulsed gently with soft blue light. Strange sounds echoed from far away, clicks, low hums, and the whisper of many voices speaking at once. This ship was not built from metal and wires like human ships. It was grown, alive, and breathing around us. I kept my head high and my steps steady. My body still hurt from the battle, but I would not let them see any weakness. Every guard who looked at me turned his eyes away quickly when I met their gaze. The name Kane had already done its work. After a long walk, we entered a vast, open chamber. The ceiling rose so high it disappeared into soft darkness. In the center stood the Hive Queen. She was enormous and beautiful in a terrifying way. Her body shone with smooth, iridescent shells that changed color from deep green to bright purple as she moved. She had many elegant limbs and large glowing eyes that seemed to look straight into the soul. A powerful presence filled the air around her, pressure that made it hard to breathe, like an invisible weight pressing on the mind. Hundreds of smaller Zivaks knelt on the floor before her. When I entered, every head turned toward me. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. The guard stopped me 20 steps away from the Queen. One of them spoke in a nervous voice. Great Queen, we have brought the human. He is the one who spoke the name. The Queen looked at me for a long moment. Her glowing eyes narrowed. Then she spoke and her voice filled the entire chamber like a song mixed with thunder. It came not only from her mouth, but also inside my head. Human, she said slowly, you dare to speak a forbidden name across my fleet. Many of my warriors froze in fear when they heard it. Explain yourself. I stood straight and looked directly into her many eyes. My name is Marcus Kane, I said clearly. I told your soldiers to bring that name to you. The moment the words left my mouth, something remarkable happened. The Queen's entire body trembled. It was not a small shake. Her elegant limbs quivered. The colors on her shell shifted rapidly. The psychic pressure in the room rose sharply and then suddenly dropped like a wave, crashing and pulling back. Several smaller Zalveks near her fell to the floor, covering their heads. I watched in quiet surprise. This creature, who ruled over billions and commanded a fleet that could destroy star systems, was trembling at the sound of my name. The Queen recovered quickly, but the fear had already shown itself. She raised one limb and signaled the guards. Remove his bindings, she ordered. He will not be treated as a common prisoner. The guards obeyed at once. The metal cuffs fell away from my wrists. I rubbed my skin gently but kept my eyes on the Queen. Why do you fear a simple name? I asked. My voice sounded calm, but inside I felt a new strength growing. What stories have your people told about Marcus Kane? The Queen's eyes studied me carefully. You speak as if you do not know, she said, but that cannot be. The name Kane is not new. It is ancient. It comes from the first time our hive entered this galaxy many centuries ago. She waved a limb and a large glowing image appeared in the air. Between us, it showed old recordings. From the Zivak memory, I saw a lone human figure in battered armor standing on a burning battlefield. Waves of Zivak warriors charged at him, but he fought without stopping. He laughed as he moved, striking again and again, even When wounded and bleeding, he kept fighting. His voice echoed in the recording. Come and get me, the Queen continued, her voice quieter now. One human named Cain delayed our conquest. For many years, he cost us billions of warriors. He forced us to change our ways and grow stronger just to survive. Him, we thought the last Cain died long ago, yet here you stand using the same name. I felt a deep understanding settle in my heart. I was not the first to carry this name. It was more than a name. It was a promise, a warning, a mantle passed from one human warrior to another when the hive grew too bold. The Queen leaned closer, her psychic presence touched my mind gently. Testing, how are you still alive after so much time? Humans do not live that long. I smiled a little. Some monsters refuse to stay in the grave, I answered. When your kind comes to take everything from us, one of us always rises to become the story you fear. She pulled back slightly. For the first time I saw doubt in her many eyes. Show me your memories, she commanded. I will see the truth for myself. A strong psychic link formed between us. Warm light filled my mind. I felt her searching through my thoughts, the battles I had fought, the friends I had lost, the quiet nights when I wondered if humanity could survive. But the link went both ways. She could not control it completely. In return, I saw pieces of her own memories. I saw the ancient war against the first Cain. I saw entire hive fleets broken and forced to run. I saw the Queen's ancestors whispering the name Cain as a warning to every new generation. If you hear this name, be careful. The humans have sent their monster again. When the link ended, the Queen was breathing faster. Her elegant body had trembled once more. You are not just one man, she said softly. You carry the spirit of all the Cains before you, and if you harm my people, more will come. The name will never die as long as humans breathe. The Queen rose to her full height. The chamber grew brighter. I could destroy you right now, she said, but I will not. Instead, I offer you a bargain. Serve me as my champion. Fight for the hive. In return, I will spare the remaining human worlds. Your people will live under my protection. Her offer hung in the air like a heavy promise. I looked at the powerful Queen, who ruled the stars, and felt no fear. Instead, I felt something deeper, the unbreakable will that had kept humanity alive through every dark time. I laughed softly, a calm and steady sound that echoed in the silent chamber. Queens do not bargain with myths, I said. They break before them. The Queen's eyes widened. The smaller Zivacs around us shifted uneasily. Tension filled the great chamber like a coming storm. She had brought the human warrior of myths into her own home. Now she would have to face what that truly meant. The Queen's great chamber felt heavier after my words. The soft blue lights on the walls pulsed faster, as if the living ship itself could sense the rising tension. Hundreds of Zivok's attendants stayed perfectly still, their eyes fixed on their ruler and the single human who dared to refuse her. The Queen looked down at me from her raised platform. Her iridescent shell still showed faint ripples of color from the earlier tremble. She did not speak at once. Instead, she studied me with all her many glowing eyes, searching for any sign of bluff or weakness. You speak boldly for one who stands alone in the heart of my power, she said at last. Her voice echoed both in the air and inside my mind. I will know the full truth. Open your mind to me completely. Let me see who you really are, Marcus. Cain, before I could answer, a warm, strong light filled my head. The psychic link returned much deeper than before. It felt like falling into a bright river. I could not stop it. The queen reached into my memories with careful but firm power. She saw everything. She saw the small blue planet where I was born, Earth's last surviving colonies, the quiet villages where children still learned the old stories of human courage. She saw the long years of training, the friends who became brothers in arms, and the day the hive fleet first appeared in our skies. She felt the fear that spread across human worlds and the quiet decision I made to become the shield that would protect them. But the link flowed both ways like a two-sided mirror. I could not hide my past, and she could not hide hers from me. Suddenly I stood inside her ancient memory. I saw the first time the Zvox entered this galaxy many centuries ago. Their hive was young and hungry, spreading across the stars like a fast growing vine. They met little resistance until they reached the edge of human space. There they met him, the first Marcus Cain. The memory played clearly in my mind. A lone human in heavy, scarred armor stood on a rocky moon. Thousands of Zivak warriors swarmed toward him. He fought with a power that seemed impossible for one man. He moved like a storm, striking with rifle and blade, laughing even as wounds covered his body. His voice rang out across the battlefield. Is this all you have? Come and get me. Wave after wave broke against him. Entire hive ships exploded in the sky above. For years he delayed the invasion, giving humanity time to prepare and escape. Billions of Zivaks lives were lost before the hive finally forced him back. In the end, the first Cain fell, but not before he planted a seed of fear that never fully died. Queen's ancestors had recorded every moment. They studied his tactics, his unbreakable spirit, and his strange ability to keep fighting when any other being would have given up. They named him the human monster. They warned every new queen, if the name Cain returns, treat it with the greatest care. The psychic link began to fade. When my vision cleared, I was back in the great chamber. The queen had lowered herself closer to the floor. Her elegant limbs shook slightly once more. Her breathing came faster. You carry his spirit, she whispered. The confidence in her voice had weakened. The name is not just a word, it is a title, a warning passed from one human to another. Every time we grow strong enough to threaten your kind, a new Cain rises to meet us. I nodded slowly. The truth felt right and heavy in my chest. Yes, we do not choose the name lightly. When the hive comes again, one of us steps forward and becomes the legend you fear. I am only the latest. There will always be another. If you force us. A smaller Zvax in the chamber began to click and whisper among themselves. News of the revelation spread quickly through their hive mind. I could feel the ripple of unease moving through the entire ship. The queen raised one graceful limb and silenced them all. Enough, she said. I have seen enough. She turned her full attention back to me. You humans are strange. You are not the strongest. You are not the fastest. Your numbers are small compared to the hive, yet you refuse to accept defeat. You turn your fear into fuel. You become the nightmare we cannot forget. I took a small step forward. The guards tensed, but the queen did not stop me. That is why your offer will not work, I told her. I will not fight for the hive. I will not help you conquer more worlds. My place is with my people, protecting Them from threats like you, her many. Eyes narrowed, I could break your mind. Right now, I could force you to serve. You can try, I replied calmly, but the first Cain did not break, the ones who came after him did not break, and I will not break either. Some things in this universe are stronger than even a queen's power. For a long moment the chamber remained completely silent. The living walls pulsed slower, as if holding their breath. Then the queen spoke again, her voice softer but still carrying great weight. If you refuse my bargain, there will be war inside my own flagship. Many of my warriors will die. You will likely die with them. Is that what you want, Marcus Cain? I smiled, a quiet, steady smile. What I want is for the hive to leave human space forever. But if you will not agree, then yes, I'm ready to fight. One man can change the course of history. Your own memories just showed you that truth. The queen rose higher again, her shell flashed with bright colors, anger mixed with something new, real uncertainty. She had ruled for thousands of years. She had never met a single being who made her feel this way. Take him to the arena chamber, she ordered her guards. Prepare the elite guardians. We will test this myth. If he is truly the Cain of legends, he will prove it with action, not words. The guards moved forward carefully and guided me out of the main chamber. As we walked through the pulsing halls, I noticed they kept more distance than before. Their clicks sounded nervous. One young Salvek guard spoke quietly to another when he thought I could not hear. The queen herself trembled twice. What kind of creature is this human? I kept walking with steady steps. My heart beat strong and clear. The fight was coming, but I felt no dread. Instead, I felt purpose. Every step took me closer to the moment the queen would have to face the full weight of the human spirit. We entered a large, open arena. The floor was smooth and dark. High walls rose around us, covered with viewing platforms where more Zalvex gathered to watch. Weapons lay ready along one side, blades, energy staffs, and other tools of combat. Queen appeared on the highest platform, looking down like a goddess judging her subjects. Begin, she commanded. The first group of elite guardians stepped into the arena, tall, heavily armored warriors with sharp claws and glowing weapons. They moved with perfect coordination. A single mind shared them. Many bodies. I rolled my shoulders and took a deep breath. The familiar calm before battle settled over me. Come. Then I said, loud enough for the queen to hear, let us show you why the name Cain still makes queens tremble. The guardians charged, and the real test of the myth began. The arena floor felt cool and smooth under my boots. Bright lights from above lit every corner, leaving no shadows to hide in. High above, the queen watched from her raised platform, her many glowing eyes fixed on me. Hundreds of Salvex filled the viewing levels, their clicks and whispers filling the air like a low hum. They had come to see the myth tested. The first group of elite guardians stepped forward. There were 8 of them, tall, strong warriors covered in thick black armor, sharp blades extended from their limbs. Their movements were perfectly matched like parts of one single body. They circled me slowly, weapons raised. I stood in the center with empty hands. The queen had not given me any weapon, perhaps hoping to see me fall quickly, but I did not need one yet. I had fought with less before. The first guardian lunged, its blade cut through the air with a sharp whistle. I stepped aside at the last moment, letting the strike pass close to my shoulder. As it moved past, I drove my elbow into the joint of its arm. There was a loud crack. The guardian stumbled. The others attacked together. I dropped low and swept my leg across the floor, knocking two of them off balance. Their coordinated minds made them strong, but they had never fought someone who moved with pure human instinct, someone who refused to follow any pattern they could predict. I grabbed a fallen energy staff from the floor and spun it once to test its weight. It felt good in my hands. Now the fight became real. Strike after strike came at me. I blocked, dodged, and countered. The staff flashed with blue light as it met their blades. Sparks flew across the arena. One guardian fell with a deep dent in its chest plate. Another dropped after I struck its head with perfect aim. Sweat ran down my face, but my breathing stayed steady. A deep joy rose inside me, the joy of using every part of my strength for something greater than myself. This was why the name Cain existed, not for glory but to protect what mattered. From her platform, the queen spoke. Her voice carried across the arena, impressive for one man, but this is only the beginning. A new wave entered. 12 guardians this time, even larger and better armed. They carried heavy shields and longer blades. They formed a tight wall and advanced together. I smiled quietly. Then let us continue. I charged straight at them. At the last second, I jumped high, using the momentum to flip over the front line. I landed behind them and attacked from the rear. Confusion broke their perfect formation. I moved among them like wind through grass, striking one, then another, never staying in one place long enough for them to surround me. One guardian caught my arm with its claw. Pain shot through my shoulder, but I did not stop. I turned the pain into fuel and brought the staff down hard. Guardian collapsed. The crowd above grew louder. Some Zalvek quaked in surprise. Others leaned forward, unable to look away. I fought on. My muscles burned and my breath came faster, but my will stayed clear and strong. Every time a guardian fell, I felt the weight of all the Cains before me standing with me. I was not fighting alone. The queen's voice rang out again, sharper this time. Enough games. Bring the royal guard. The arena doors opened once more. 6 massive figures entered. These were different, bigger, with shining golden markings on their shells and weapons that glowed with dark energy. They moved with deadly grace. These were the queen's personal protectors, the strongest in the entire fleet. They did not circle, they attacked as one. Fight grew fiercer. Their energy weapons burned the air. I dodged and weaved, using every skill I had learned in years of battle. One blast grazed my side, leaving a painful mark, but I kept moving. I disarmed one royal guard and used its own weapon against the others. Clash after clash filled the arena. Metal rang against metal. Bright flashes lit the walls. I took hits, but I gave back harder. 3 royal guards lay on the floor. The remaining 3 pressed me harder, trying to overwhelm me with pure power. My vision began to blur from tiredness. Blood trickled from a cut on my forehead, yet I refused to fall. Then the queen tried something new. Strong psychic wave crashed into my mind. It felt like heavy chains wrapping around my thoughts. She was trying to control me directly, to make my body stop moving, to force me to kneel. For a moment my arms grew heavy. My legs wanted to freeze. The royal guard saw Their chance and moved in, but deep. Inside something pushed back. It was the same unbreakable spirit that had carried every Kane through impossible odds. I remembered the faces of my crew. I remembered the human colonies that still needed time to survive. I remembered that humans do not break when the galaxy demands it. With a loud shout, I threw off the psychic hold. The Queen's power shattered like glass. Shock of it made her cry out. Her body on the platform trembled violently. One of her elegant limbs slipped, and she had to steady herself. For the first time in her long life, the Queen felt true personal fear, not as a calculation, but as a living emotion. Deep in her core, the remaining royal guards hesitated, sensing their rulers' distress through the hive connection. I seized the moment. I moved forward with fresh strength and defeated the last 3 guardians one by one. When the final one fell, the arena became quiet. Except for my heavy breathing, I looked up at the Queen. She stared down at me, her glowing eyes wide with disbelief. Her once graceful posture had changed. She no longer looked like an untouchable ruler. She looked shaken. I walked slowly to the center of the arena and dropped the borrowed weapon. Is this enough proof? I called up to her. My voice carried clearly. Or do you need more? The Queen did not answer at once. She breathed deeply, trying to regain control. The entire ship seemed to wait. With her, the living walls pulsed unevenly. Finally she spoke. Her voice was quieter, but every word held weight. What are you, Marcus Kane? No single being should be able to resist me like this. No single being should make my strongest warriors fall so easily. I wiped the sweat and blood from my face and answered with simple truth. I am the consequence of every time you thought the galaxy belonged only to you. Humans are not perfect. We make mistakes. We fight among ourselves. But when something threatens to take away our future, we become something more. We become the story that keeps you awake at night. The Queen lowered herself until she was closer to my level. Her shell still showed ripples of unsettled color. You have broken my royal guard. You have pushed back my own power. Many of my attendants now whisper that the old legends were true. She paused, then continued. Yet I still hold the power to destroy every human world. One command from me and your people will vanish. I met her gaze without fear. You can try, but every time you do, a new Kane will rise. The name will return. The fight will continue, and one day the hive itself may be the one that breaks. The Queen's many eyes studied me for a long time. The fear in her had grown deeper. She had seen the memories. She had felt my will. Now she understood that some forces in the universe could not be conquered by numbers or power alone. The breaking had begun. She was no longer the confident ruler who had summoned me. She was a queen facing the limits of her own empire, limits drawn by one human who carried the weight of legends. The arena remained silent as she made her decision. The final test was coming, and both of us knew the next choice would change everything. The arena fell into complete silence. The fallen guardians lay still on the smooth floor. My breathing was heavy and my body ached from many small wounds, but I stood tall. Above me the Hive Queen looked down with eyes that no longer held the same cold confidence. Her iridescent shell showed unsteady ripples of color. For the first time in her long rule, she faced something she could not simply crush or control. I wiped a trickle of blood from my forehead and spoke clearly so every Zivax in the chamber could hear. You have seen what one human can do, great queen. Now, make your choice. Order your fleet to leave human space forever, or the fighting will continue. The name Cain will not disappear. The queen remained quiet for a long moment. The living walls of the ship pulsed slowly as if waiting with her. Hundreds of Zivac attendants watched in perfect stillness. The psychic pressure in the air felt thinner now, less crushing than before. Finally, she descended from her high platform. Her many elegant limbs moved with careful grace. As she came closer to the arena floor, she stopped at the edge, towering over me but no longer seeming untouchable. You have broken my royal guard, she said. Her voice carried both strength and a new softness. You have pushed back my own power. I have seen the memories of the first Cain and felt the spirit that lives in you. Humans are not like other species. You create, you dream, and when cornered, you become legends that haunt even the strongest empires. She paused, her glowing eyes studying me carefully. I offer you one final chance. Join me willingly. Help the hive grow stronger. In return, your people will live in peace under my protection. No more wars, no more loss. I looked up at her without fear. The pain in my body reminded me of every battle I had fought, every friend I had lost, and every human world that still needed a future. I shook my head slowly. Queens do not bargain with myths, I replied, repeating my earlier words with calm certainty. Your protection would become control. Your peace would become chains. Humanity has earned its freedom through blood and courage. We will keep it the same way. A ripple of surprise passed through the watching Zivacs. Some clicked nervously. The queen's body trembled once more, not as strongly as before, but enough for everyone to see. Then you leave me no choice, she said. Her voice grew firmer, but I could hear the doubt beneath it. I will give the command. Your colonies will burn. People will. Before she could finish, I stepped closer, looked deeper into my mind. I told her, not as a ruler seeking weakness, but as one who wants to understand, see the full weight of human history, see why we never stayed defeated. The queen hesitated, then reached out with her psychic power once more. This time the link felt different, wider, and clearer. I opened my thoughts completely, letting her see everything. She saw the beautiful blue oceans and green forests of old Earth. She saw cities rising toward the stars, songs of hope and inventions that turned dreams into reality. She saw families laughing together and children learning about courage from ancient stories. Then she saw the dark times, wars among humans, mistakes we made, and the lessons we learned. Most importantly, she saw our refusal to die quietly. When danger came, we stood together. When the odds were impossible, we found new strength. When the galaxy tried to forget us, we made sure it remembered. Through the link, I also felt her own long life. She had ruled for thousands of years, expanding the hive across countless systems. She had known victory after victory, but she had never known a species that turned fear into fuel the way humans did. She had never met beings who could become greater than themselves when everything seemed lost. When the link ended, the queen stood very still. Her many eyes were wide. Her breathing had grown faster. The fear inside her had become deep and personal. She understood. Now, destroying humanity would not end the story. It would only create more Cains. The name would return again and again like an echo that never faded. I see, she whispered, you are not merely a warrior, you are the living reminder that some forces cannot be conquered by power alone. Your spirit is the consequence of every time we thought the stars belonged only to us. She turned away slightly, looking at the gathered Zivaks. Then she made her decision with a clear, strong voice that carried through the entire flagship and across the hive mind to every ship in the fleet. The Queen spoke her final command. All hive forces will withdraw from human space immediately. No further attacks will be made on human colonies or ships. The war ends today. We will leave this sector and never return. Wave of shock passed through the chamber. Many Zalveks clicked and whispered in disbelief. Some trembled as the order reached their minds. The Queen's word was law, and she had just chosen retreat over conquest. I watched her closely. Her elegant body no longer stood as tall and proud. She had broken, not by force of arms alone, but by the simple, unbreakable truth of the human spirit. The Queen looked back at me. You have won, Marcus Kane. Your people are safe, but tell me one thing before you leave. Why do humans fight so hard when the easier path is to surrender? I smiled a quiet, steady smile. Because we believe the future is worth protecting. We believe that even one voice, one act of courage can change everything. That is the real power of humanity. Not the strongest weapons or the largest fleets, but the will to stand when others would fall. She nodded slowly, accepting the truth she had seen in my memories. Then, go, human warrior of myths, return to your people. Tell them the Hive Queen heard your name and chose peace instead of ruin. The guards stepped aside. Without being told, no one tried to stop me as I walked out of the arena. The corridors felt different now. The living ship seemed calmer, its pulses slower and more peaceful. Zalvek warriors I passed lowered their heads, were moved aside with respect, mixed with quiet fear. A small shuttle waited to take me back toward the nearest human outpost. As I boarded, one of the Queen's personal attendants approached me carefully. The Queen wishes you to know, he said softly, that the name Kane will be remembered as a warning in our histories, not as an enemy to destroy, but as a force to respect. I nodded. Once good, let the stories be told. Honestly, the shuttle lifted off and left the giant flagship behind. Through the window, I watched the massive hive fleet slowly turn away. Thousands of sleek black ships moved together, heading out of human space. The threat that had hung over us for so long was finally leaving. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes for a moment. My body was tired and sore, but my heart felt light. We had won, not by destroying the enemy, but by reminding them why humanity could never be erased. When the shuttle neared the human outposts, I stood and looked out at the stars. They seemed brighter now, full of new hope. Softly, so only I could hear, I whispered to the vast darkness, they will tell stories about this day, about the day the alien Queen heard my name and trembled. Let them remember, because if the hive ever forgets and returns, there will always be another Kane. The shuttle doors opened. Cheers rose from the waiting human crowd as they saw me step out. They had heard the news through the channels. The war was over. The fleet had turned away. I walked forward to meet them, bloodied but unbroken. The human warrior of myths had done his part. Now the future belonged to all of us, And somewhere in the depths of space, the Queen would carry the memory of one man who stood alone and changed the course of stars, not with overwhelming force, but with the simple, powerful truth that some legends never